We also want to use preference assessments. You know a child is attending or a patient is attending when you can make a choice of what they want to work for. Do you want blue jelly beans or red jelly beans? Do you want the car or the train? If the person can answer that and looking, you know they're at least attending to you. So how to find reinforcers? We can ask others, but this could be problematic, and the reports may not be accurate. Although I have to say they're probably going to be a little more accurate if you're talking to another technician on the case. We can do general preference assessments, providing choices for the individual and what they want to work for. We're going to go into a little more detail about what this means. We can also do reinforcement sampling, where we allow free access to items and see if they play or use the item. Basically, you are allowing them some access to see if they like it. So, let's talk about 3 types of stimulus preference assessments. The first one is we ask the patient. Open-ended, what would you like to work for? And asking about specific items, forced choices. Do you want cars or trains? As a general rule, I use a lot more forced choices, because if I ask something like, what do you want to work for? They can answer with anything. But as far as the 3 types of stimulus preference assessments we're going to talk about, it's important to know what open-ended means. It basically means you're asking, what would you like to work for? There's also something called the free operant observation. Okay, that sounds complex, but really what it means is that the patient has free access to a range of activities and reinforcers. All are available and can be seen. Items are not removed. This can be done in a very contrived or very naturalistic way. In a contrived situation, you provide samples and place items in view and within reach. You record how long the patient engages with each item. Again, as an RBT, you're probably not going to be doing much of this as far as this kind of specific method. But it is important to know. Also, you have naturalistic one, where we use the everyday environment and don't really intrude. We're kind of like being a fly on the wall. We observe and see what items they play with and how long they play with it or interact with each item. The only real difference is that you're just kind of letting it flow. Maybe go to a playroom and see what happens. You don't have to get the items out. You just see what the person goes for. Benefits of the free operation is that the person has access to items. You don't have to remove the items, which means there's less likely to have behavior issues, and is more systematic than simply asking. Again, I don't want you to feel like you have to know this specifically, but just understand that there are several types of preference assessments that have been studied and researched. There's also trial-based methods. We will present stimuli, possible reinforcers to a patient in a series of trials. We'll measure certain things such as whether they look at it, hold it, or engage with it. And then we categorize them into high, medium, or low preference. Again, I want to reiterate, as an RBT, you probably won't be doing much of this, but it's still good to know. So, trial-based method 1, the single stimulus presentation. We're going to present the items one at a time in random order and record the patient's reaction to the item. This is a really good thing for those who have a hard time selecting 2 or more stimuli items or activities. Remember, we're presenting one at a time. Trial-based method 2 would be a paired stimuli presentation. Basically, it's a forced choice method. We present 2 stimuli at the same time and ask the person to choose one. Each stimulus is matched with every other in the set, comparing each item to each other. So, we rank in order from high, medium, and low. So basically, if you had like 4 items, you would compare item 1 with item 2, item 3 with item 4, item 1 with item 3, and so forth, and see which one the person mostly went for. 3, trial-based method 3, is the multiple stimulus presentation. It's kind of like paired stimulus, but with 3 or more stimuli together. You begin by asking something like, which one do you want the most, and then repeat through the items. Again, I want to reiterate, as an RBT, you're probably not going to be doing much of this. You're going to be simply asking the individual or patient, which one do you want to work for, the blue one or the green one? Do you want the candy or the melon? Okay, do you want the toy train or the toy car? Before trials. But it is important to know that there are systematic methods for preference assessments. In the end, as you get to know the patient, what you're going to find is that you will start to know what is reinforcing to them. It is your ultimate goal as an RBT to be able to work with that individual in an effective way. So you will get to know what actually works for them and be able to use it throughout the session.